folks. Sorry for that late start. We had to do a last-minute prayer. We always pray before we start the show. It has been crazy. I did not, listen, I'm going to tell you this, guys, right now. I didn't even have a chance to do my pregame talk with David. This is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But I can tell you this. We have a lot to talk about. I am always blessed, as usual, to be with David. Listen, we have a very big announcement that we are going to make right at around the 30-minute mark of the show. The announcement is really, 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 really important. Now, if you stayed here for the timer, it will be 45 minutes from the show, 45 minutes into the show. But later on, we always delete the timer, so it'll be at the 30-minute mark, and this announcement's going to be big. So you guys are going to want to hear this. A lot of stuff coming your way. I want to just start off by thanking the folks that are supporting us on super stickers and super chats. By the way, can I just tell you this right now? Your support in this arena is particularly important to us, especially because I am going through that phase right now where I am being targeted and I am being demonetized for literally everything. Sunday, I did a video where all I did was talk about what God was putting on my heart, and YouTube demonetized it. So it's getting to the point. Say again?
What was their excuse?
They said that I was being violent, and there was nothing in there. I think it was an AI mistake. So I'm basically disputing it. Hopefully, we'll see what happens. But any bit of support you guys can give was always a blessing. We're gonna talk. This is part of the announcement that's coming, which I'm really excited about. I wanted.
If I was an AI, I would be afraid of you too.
Well, I can tell you this. Most of the people that are programming AI are, raging hardcore leftists. So, that might be the reason why they don't like me, David. I don't know. Vindog, I want to just take a moment to thank you, bro. You are the very first super chat. I want to thank you for that, bro. Your support is awesome. You're a blessing. Thank you so much for that. And let me read the comment here. Let me see here. You say, reading the book I told you by, let me see. I don't know what's going on here. Let me just turn this off here. Okay, that's what happened. Okay. Okay, you said, sorry, technical stuff, technical mumbo jumbo all the time here. Okay, you say this video, you say, reading the book I told you by Rush Limbaugh because he predicted that the government would turn on its own people. Look out below, highway to hell. I'm going to just tell you this right now. It doesn't take much to be able to predict that, because when people go godless, this is exactly what happened. Freedoms are taken away, and that's what we are seeing right now in the United States of America. We are seeing a whole conglomerate of political persecutions, and it's not anything that should surprise us. It's something that we should expect to see, because this is par for the course. This is what happens when people go down this direction, and when citizens just choose not to do anything about it. That's the problem. The problem is when we don't speak up, when we don't say anything, when we just let it be. This is where we end up, and of course that's where we're at, and that's why we're in the situation that we're in right now. But with that, bro, talk to me. What's going on? Let me know what's happening.
Whoa. You want to go past, present, or future?
Let's do all of it. Because there's a big update going on. We got problems in the north. We've got other issues that I think our people need to pay very special attention to. I think a lot of it relates to Bible prophecy.
How we talked about the hostage release.
No, we have not. I mean, I've spent some time talking about it. I know you made a great video on it. There is one thing I want to get off my chest with the hostage release that drives me absolutely crazy, and that is when you hear people choose to lie to you and actually tell you that these civilians are innocent, then you need to go and find out what actually happened with this hostage release and this fight. As a matter of fact, I thought I was going crazy, David. I'm not joking. I actually thought I was going crazy because when I saw one of the pictures of the terrorists, I thought, no, that can't be, no, that has to be a mistake, because he is a very well-known reporter for Al Jazeera.
In Gaza.
and in Gaza. But by the way, his articles are everywhere. They're online. They're everywhere. So I'm thinking in my mind, because I so you know, I listen to Al Jazeera and watch it in Arabic because the intelligence is a lot more. You get a better idea of what's going through their mind and what's happening. And I don't know if you know this, David, but they play Al Jazeera in Gaza all over the world.
Yeah.
Obviously for propagandist reasons.
Totally.
So the thing that's bothering me here, and it's driving me absolutely nuts, is literally how absolutely crazy these people are in doing what they're doing. Like, how in the world can you say they're innocent civilians when they're actually doing what they're doing? It's completely crazy. And I have to acknowledge something. You guys are unbelievable. I'm looking at your super chats coming in. Jackie Bird, thank you. You saying thank God for bringing the hostages home. Don Burke, you say history will repeat itself. It's though out the Bible. That's right. Patty Soto, this is your first time doing a super chat. Thank you. Michelle Hutchins, very generous. Thank you. It's your first time. You say, thank you, Pastor James, for your continued work. It's always eye-opening and makes us realize we are not alone in this crazy world. God bless. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. You guys are awesome. David, these are all supposedly citizens. These four terrorists, or these four hostages that were rescued, were not in a terrorist tunnel. They were in supposed civilian homes. And the firefighting that killed an IDF soldier was all supposed civilians.
So to make it kind of really realistic, mom and dad and the kids, okay, in their spare time are a prison camp for Israeli hostages in their apartment in downtown Gaza. I mean, it's ludicrous just to say this. I mean, it's not like a Hamas unit was keeping. They had them with a family, with a regular civilian family. And the question is, if a family is keeping a hostage like this, then are they still civilians?
Yeah, listen, David, they're not civilians. And we know that they're not civilians. David Farden, thank you so much. They're not civilians. We know that they're not.
Okay, so I agree that they're not civilians, but
they're complicit.
What rules of war apply to them?
No, what? The same rules that go for combatants. That's the same rules.
Now, here's the thing. James, I haven't done hostage, rescue, but I've been enough in close combat like this where you're in a house like that. You know that the rescue hostages are there. You know this is a hostile environment. You know what's going on. And a child comes out of the room while you're breaking into this apartment. Do you take them out or not?
Okay, so wait. Hold on a second. I think to avoid what some people will perceive as being crazy or unreasonable, we actually bring up a realistic scenario here. Something that actually happened. And then maybe we talk about commenting on it, because the reality of it is people need to understand the intensity of the matter that's in front of us. So how about we actually talk about this for a second? Like, if we're going to talk about it, let's really talk about it. Like, let's go over the scenario. I want people to hear this.
Okay, so here's what goes on. We get intelligence where they're being held, and Israeli intelligence, we were amazed, in one of the refugee camps, okay, Nusrat, and in an apartment, literally an apartment building with different apartments, in the house of a family. The three guys were in one house and about 200 yards down.
I want everybody to listen to this. I'm sorry not to interrupt you. Listen closely to the details David is giving you. Can you start again with the three and then get into the female? It's important.
Well, we get intelligence that for the hostages, by the way, there might maybe be more, but there's a whole question now what's going on with them. But for the hostages were being held in Nusrat in apartments, not in a tunnel, not in a Hamas facility, and in a family's apartment. They were being held.
And where's Nusrat, if you can let everybody know?
right smack in the middle of Gaza. I mean, take the Gaza Strip, hit the middle of the Gaza Strip, right smack in the middle. Close enough to the beach for it to be a half an hour walking distance from the beach, basically. So we get the intelligence and we realize that they're not being held in a Hamas facility. They're being held by civilian families. But we also start checking out and we realize that the apartments around them are being housed by other Hamas operatives. Okay, so here's the thing: the people living there live there with their families, but they have an AK-47 under their bed. Okay, and they're ready to reply. And around this compound with a couple of hostages, there's a whole how do you say, a reaction unit, meaning the Hamas has a unit that will react if Israel does try to break them in. But they thought it was very not possible. Otherwise, they would have put them in a tunnel. We decided to go in broad daylight, but we did it a little bit different. The Israeli commanders walked in, some of them, okay, meaning infiltrated Gaza and then literally walked through, dressed as Arabs. And there were two trucks. White trucks, like the white trucks that are kind of bringing and moving the aid around. Okay, white trucks, and they were inside the Gaza Strip. And again, because we thought that they would be more prepared at night, this was done in broad daylight. The trucks pulled up next to the door. They knew exactly where they were going. They knew which of the neighbors was armed. Okay, and basically broke into the apartment, shot the people in the apartment, and the question is, the wife and kids that live in the apartment, what are they? Are they combatants? Are they civilians? And the question was asked by I heard some of the interviews with some of the soldiers that were in there, and I remember my situations in Jenin, where I had to decide, with the family. And here's the thing: Hamas was using these people. Not only that, we find out later who this guy was. Anyway,
Can I ask you this question? David? Because I know I'm going to sound harsh at doing it, but I wanted you to lay it out for this reason, because I didn't want to play in hypotheticals. I actually wanted to play in the real scenario. Is there a possibility anywhere in that world where that mother and daughter are not complicit?
No, I mean, remember, we found out who the family was later. But I want to get to that in a minute, okay? But, I mean, fathers decide everything there. So the father says to the wife, we're going to be keeping an Israeli hostage, okay? And she says, Allahu Akbar. And he might even say, it might be dangerous. And she's going to say, Allahu Akbar. That means we'll be shaheeds. And that is the dynamic of it. It brings them a lot of, by the way, a lot of respect in their community to be playing a part like this, playing a role like this.
So let's go back and ask this question again. Are they complicit or are they not? If they're saying Allahu Akbar and they're praising their false god, Allah, are they complicit or are they not?
Okay. An 8-year-old cannot be complicit. An 8-year-old cannot, in my mind. Okay. And if I was breaking into the room and I saw, and I managed to pick out that it's the figure in the scope of my rifle was an 8-year-old, I would not pull the trigger.
Okay. Can I ask you this question? Just a quick question. What about the hundreds of kids that are around that age that have had rifles in their hands and are shooting at soldiers? What about the hundreds, if not close, they're thinking now close to 1,000 that have explosives strapped to them and are yelling out at the age of 8 or 9, Allahu Akbar, while they're setting off the detonation?
Let me make this clear, okay? My rules of engagement, and somebody asked me about this a little while ago, okay? I need to see two things. I need to see a willingness, and I need to see a capability, meaning somebody is saying, Allahu Akbar, I'm going to kill you, but he also has to have a knife in his hand or a gun in his hand or a bomb, okay? That's one scenario. So, but as a rule of thumb, I will not shoot an 8-year-old. I will not shoot a 9-year-old. When you get to 12 and 13, the question is whether yes or no. And if he is in a house like this where I'm coming to free hostages, then he will probably be taken down. By the way, the Americans did the same thing when they went in to get bin Laden.
Listen, I I fully understand this. I get where you're coming from, but
is she complicit? Yes. Is the mother complicit? Yes, definitely yes. So as far as I'm concerned, these are not innocent civilians. And that is the moral, and I'm going to say even more, by rules of law, by rules of warfare, by the laws of warfare, I mean, by everything that we know to do in warfare, she is a combatant in this kind of situation. And she is a legitimate target.
Can we get a little bit more into the details as into what happened to these hostages? We don't have to get into the graphic details, but can we talk a little bit about that, since we already have a better understanding of what's in front of us?
All 4 of them were actually taking into Gaza from the that party that took place.
Right.
Now, by the way, have we ever talked about the fact that Hamas pulled off the 7th of October because of that party?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we haven't had this conversation, but I know exactly what you're referring to. Maybe that's worth talking about for a second.
Because what the Hamas knew is, one, we're ready to do this attack. They had all of the pieces of the machinery in place. 2, we want to do it soon because we have to stop the peace agreement with the Saudis. And 3, okay, we have our green light from Iran, even though they didn't decide exactly on the date. And 4, there was a big, massive party literally on the field up against the fence with hundreds of Israelis, more than hundreds, thousands of Israelis having a, what do you call it, a rave? Or I don't know what you call them. Where?
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly what it was.
It's a rave. And they say they are going to be the easiest ones to grab and pull back into Gaza. And they were right. I mean, these 4 were actually hostages from then. They were pulled in. We know that they were beaten. We know where they were hit. And the rape of the women inside Gaza, the hostages, was intermediate. Some did, some didn't. But there is an underlying feeling when the hostages came out, the reporting is that rape was an acceptable practice. Meaning, it wasn't like it was wrong. I mean, they were talking, you could hear people talking about it. It was an acceptable practice. And I heard one of the girls actually kept on saying, they kept on telling me to say thank you that they're not raping me. Which, do you understand what that means? That means in their mind it is acceptable, and they're doing her a favor that they're not.
Yeah, that just goes to, that speaks to the psychological damage that results from this type of thing. I mean, you should see the video that I did with that young lady. Did you see that interview, David?
Yeah, I saw it.
What an extraordinary little girl. But this goes to show the psychology.
She's never going to be normal.
No, are you kidding me?
She's a wounded human being to the day she dies.
Are you kidding me? The kind of things that she actually saw, the type of things that she did, the line of thinking that she actually had to have, the bravery, the courage that she had, even then, it's going to definitely affect her. It's definitely going to affect her.
It's going to affect her relationship with her children in the future. It's going to affect her relationship with her husband in the future. It's going to affect her relationship with anybody that she needs to trust or distrust. I mean, you lose trust. And again, I'm sorry to be not a broken record, but to state the obvious, she needs Jesus.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, look, every single one of these people, every single one need to have the Lord. That's where the real hope is. Listen, you take one of these people, even in Gaza, you take them on the Palestinian side, and you introduce Christ, all of this stuff is over. It's game over. You're not going to see any of this stuff. It's through. It's completely through. But the reality of it is the devil has such a hold on these people. It's not even funny. It's not even funny.
Let's go back to the hostage situation. So here's the thing, okay? Because I'm boiling from some of the things I heard on the different news kind of cast.
Oh, I have one I'm going to show you. I have a video I'm going to actually show you.
Here's the actual event, okay? So they've killed the guards that are in the apartment. They've got the 4 hostages. They've got how do you say body armor on them. Actually, I don't know if you look closely, by the way. I don't know if you look closely. Look at the video. They actually sent a video of the release of the not the release, the freeing of the hostages. One of the guys has a big shield, body armor shield on his back. He was the one who has to walk behind them after they release them in order to make sure that somebody doesn't shoot him from behind. I mean, now we've got the hostages. Now the whole situation is completely different. Now it's a firefight to get out. Now, somebody said, "Well, so why did you kill so many people?" And I think it was Ron Dermer. He says, if they had not fired at us, we've just now released our hostages. If they had not fired of us, nobody would have died.
That's right.
And it seems so simple to say it. Nobody would have died. What did happen, though, is anybody in that whole alley in Gaza stuck his head out with his AK-47 and tried to take him out. Now, what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's right.
And it was, and by the way, it was this close. They shot up one of the vehicles with an RPG. What is that like? And they did. They managed to get him out of the neighborhood. They brought him down to the beach.
By the way, folks, for those of you that are asking, when he says RPG, he's talking about a rocket-propelled grenade. Just so everybody understand. It's a grenade that gets launched off of a... Yeah, that's right. It looks like a shoulder-fired missile. That's right.
They got down to the beach, and it's very interesting that the area where the helicopters were waiting for them to take off and actually take the hostages out was the how do you say, the collecting areas or the staging areas for the American pier that was built in Gaza. And why is that cute? Because 3 hours ago I met my nephew who was actually stationed on a tank around that pier. Not by chance he was out with his wife and daughter when I met him. But Sean actually is right there on that pier, and he said, "I missed it. I would have been there. I would have seen him. I would have been there."
That would have been really special for him. That's for sure. to be able to witness that. Brittany, thank you so much. You say, thank you, Pastor James. May the Lord keep you and richly bless you. May he place a hedge of protection around you and your families, the ministry and all your work. We love you. Thank you. We love you too. David, so...
2 things. Before I forget, 2 things.
Okay, yes.
One, the firefight coming out, I believe that the vast majority of the Palestinians that were killed by their own friendly fire.
Oh, I believe that. I actually heard that. I heard that they were killed by crossfire. A lot of them were. That's right.
I mean, he's shooting from this window and they're shooting from that window. And I'm sure, I mean, they have no control. The stories that I heard coming out, it was like walking through a hail of bullets. And I'm sure because, again, this is the worst possible thing that could happen to them. 2, like you said, it turns out that one of the family members that was actually holding these hostages was an Al Jazeera reporter. And this
crazy
hypocrisy of you don't shoot reporters and you don't shoot the press and you don't. But if the press is part of the oppression, that takes him off the press list and sticks him on the terrorist list.
That's right. That's right.
But have you heard anything talking about it? I mean, has BBC said something?
No.
Has Al Jazeera said something?
No. No, even Al Jazeera, they may do it, but even Al Jazeera is not making any public declaration about their reporter being complicit in this. They're not even going to talk about we lost a reporter. They're not going to even say that, look at what the Israelis did, because they know there's no other way of framing it other than he was a complicit terrorist that was taking people he was kidnapping people. That's exactly what happened.
And so here's another one. How did Al Jazeera reporters in Gaza know that the attack was going to happen? I mean, they were on the spot the minute it started happening.
Well, come on, we know exactly how that is. The reporter himself has a lot in place, a specific contingency for this particular issue. I mean, this is not this shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. You know, it's like this automatic staging event. Remember, these people are in it to win the media war, and that's exactly what they're doing. They have, I would venture to say that an overwhelming majority of these terrorist operations that are taking place right now have a very vast network of camera operators that are trying to film as much as they possibly can. Of course.
And then somebody goes.
Propagandist.
And somebody goes. I remember the last round, there was I think an Indian reporter who reported a rocket fired out from literally the ground outside the hotel room. And he was kicked out of Gaza very, very quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, you understand that there's no room for the truth. I mean, who's gonna be allowed to tell the truth in a situation like that? And again, these people look for and take advantage of opportunities to utilize the perception in the media that's wrong to be able to further their causes. That's how they work.
I heard somebody on the other day call it news. It's like warfare, but it's not warfare. It's newsfare.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is media fodder, is what it is, David. It's really, 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 really bad.
Okay,
it's really bad.
So then I'm sitting here and I'm going through all this story, and I hear this lady. I don't know if you had the clip. I think it was from CNN, who asked the most stupid question I could think of.
BBC. I have BBC. It. Do you want me to air it?
Yeah, let's do it because
okay. This is ridiculous.
Anybody. I mean, you just hear it. It's like, where does the logic go, James? Where does it go?
If you want to know where the logic goes, bro, I can tell you this right now. The logic is centered around demon worship. That's where the logic is. The logic is satanic. Yeah. There's no other way of putting it. And when you watch this, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. What you're about to see here is absolutely brutal. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually change the shot so that you guys can see a little bit more of it. Let me just run it over here. That way you should see her a little bit more, and I can just always put myself in the bottom right-hand corner here. But take a look at this, because this is absolutely insane. Okay? This is what you call ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
Now, let's not say why it's ridiculous. Let them listen to this and watch this. And you have to be more than 3 years old to realize, I mean, no more than 3 years old to realize how stupid this is.
100%. 100%. Let's play this. This is the BBC, by the way. Go figure, right? Here we go.
Conricus, formerly the spokesman for the Israel Defense Forces, now a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, a think tank that takes a hard line against Iran. Welcome to you, Jonathan. Thank you for your time and for being with us. I'd like to begin by getting your reaction to the news of the 4 hostages and them being released.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me. It is a glimmer of light in a sea of darkness and despair. And for the first time in months, Israelis have a moment to rejoice, and happy scenes of families being reunified. Very happy to see it. I'm very happy for the families who are now getting their loved ones back after what must be the most horrible experience of 8 months. Sadly, however, we still have 120 hostages. We still have Iranian proxies all around us aiming to kill Israelis and to kill Jews. And we still have a lot of work to do in order to return to safety and security in Israel. And as important as this event is, it is a drop in the ocean, and there is still a lot of fighting left for us to be safe in our homeland.
Jonathan, there is concern about the death toll among Palestinians. Do you think Israeli forces anticipated the level of casualties incurred?
Okay, before he answers this question, Can I just give a nice raw response? Who gives a dang? You don't get to kidnap my family, rape them, violate them, destroy their lives, terrorize them for 6 months, and be concerned about what we're going to do to get them back? I'm sorry.
But that's the thing.
How about whatever. Okay, I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. Mind you, she's coming from a country where there are over 100 Sharia courts right now. This is the UK is that messed up. So of course they're going to think that way. This is ridiculous. Anyway, here we go.
Yeah, I think that the whole civilian issue here really needs to be analyzed impartially and understood. According to the reports that I have gotten, and also to the testimonials and even statements made by Hamas spokesperson, the Israeli hostages were held and jailed by Palestinian civilians in a Palestinian civilian area. And as regrettable as any loss of life is, I think that we would have to investigate really who were the people who jailed these Israeli civilians for 8 months. Why did they do it? What was the role of the surrounding community and the hundreds, if not thousands, of Palestinians who for sure were aware of the fact that the Israeli hostages were being held in their midst? And why were they complicit with Hamas?
But Jonathan, we don't know that they were necessarily complicit with Hamas. All of the casualties that were incurred there.
How do we? Can I just ask this question? How is it that you don't know for sure they're complicit with Hamas when they're in the house? They're in the house of these people. I'm sorry. This is crazy. And why in the world aren't people losing their minds right now?
Because something
Why
else,
aren't they losing their minds?
it's because something else is happening. I mean, there's more going on here.
She's a cuckoo. She's a
doing
complete nut.
Doing what she was supposed to do. And let her drop the question so we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, here we go. It's coming. She's a cuckoo. You're a cuckoo, lady. You're a cuckoo.
There are reports of women, of children who are among the dead. It is appearing to be a high civilian death toll. Would there have been a warning to those civilians for them to get out on time?
For sure, of course, we cannot anticipate Israel to be warning ahead of a raid to extract or to save hostages, because then what the terrorists would do is to kill the hostages, and that would defeat the purpose. So, of course, we cannot expect that. Yes, I agree with you that we do.
Like, what's wrong with this cuckoo? Is she out of her cuckoo mind?
Yeah, no, but here's the thing. I think somebody once told me that when, I want to think about the algorithm of YouTube, for instance, then see it like the algorithm is trying to represent the people behind it. So they only ask the questions that they think the people want to hear the answers to. And I think she's doing the same. She's asking the questions that somebody in BBC feels, thinks, evaluates that other people want to hear. And that's what she's doing.
So we know her price. We know her price then.
Well, I'm not going to give you the famous army joke about, that. But okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but we got the idea. But what I'm trying to say is she personally is not to blame. And I'm even going to say BBC personally is not to blame. The British people who have bought into this sense of outrage at perceived victimhood. Okay, here's the thing. Who's the victim in her mind or in the people that she represents? The victims are the poor Palestinians. The hostages are not the victims.
But David, who's creating that? The media. The media is creating that. So to say that the BBC isn't complicit in this nonsense, I think is crazy.
No, don't get. I'm not saying it's not. Okay, I think I told you I worked in one of Israel's famous newspapers once as a graphic designer, sitting on the desk. And one of the things I remember realizing one night is that the editor of the newspaper, the guy who has information. This is one story. This is one story. And what he has to do, that's his job, is to decide what events, what information goes into the newspaper. Okay. This is a very important. He's the editing, the chief editor. And we became friends after a while, a couple of months of working together. And I said to him, how do you decide? I mean, who are you to decide what's important? And he says, I go and talk to my mom and I try to figure out what my mom wants to read. What's important to her? And I evaluate that along the way. And I decide, because my job is to make my mom and other people read the newspaper. Okay. And that way we make more money in advertisement. That's the mechanism. Let me go to something spiritual here. Okay. What they're trying to do is evaluate what the people in Britain want to hear, what they would question. And they do, if they do their job right, they will hit on the head what the British people are asking, what's important to the British people. And what I'm trying to say is this. The fact that they're asking this question out of all the questions that they could have asked means that the British people have slid down the moral slope so far that this is a relevant question for them. That's what has me worried.
It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Cuckoo. It's cuckoo.
Okay. But maybe there's good news. Should we talk about it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
What happened in Europe this week?
Oh, talk about this. Multiple things happened in Europe this week.
Well,
Matter of fact, go ahead.
You start.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Well, first of all, okay, European Parliament had the elections for the European Parliament. And the media that I hear coming out from the regular media sources was all amazed at the fact that all of these countries, France, Italy, Spain, even Holland for sure, have all actually elected far right-wing conservative representatives into the European Parliament. And we're seeing a massive backlash against the left wokeism across the spectrum in Europe. The French government has been disbanded. The Belgian government has been disbanded. The Dutch government has a very pro-Israel, pro-right, anti-Muslim head of government right now in position. Jean-Marie Le Pen, his daughter, I don't remember her name has become the main, the largest political entity in France. And the right is actually pushing out, and there's a backlash against Muslims and against immigration in Europe.
And it's going to get very, very ugly because there's even more tied to that. But yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just need to take it a little forward. Please make this happen in the U.S. Please.
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say.
It's a distinct possibility that can happen if something terrible doesn't happen to the former president.
Okay, run that down. Okay, so let's go back. Europe is moving to the right. So if Biden falls,
can I back up for a second? A part of Europe is moving to the right.
That's true.
Okay, it's really important to understand the power of Germany's influence. It's really important to understand much of the Eastern European contingency. It's really important to understand the play that Eurasia, we'll just call it that, Eurasia has, because NATO is a contributing variable. Matter of fact, maybe the single most complicit variable in the destabilization that we're actually seeing in these nations, especially the nations that are along the Atlantic. So I want everybody to know that this is it's a bit of a crapshoot. There are some aspects of this that could be significantly important, but there's a series of things that have to happen, a very specific way. If NATO engages with Russia, all bets are off. This is all going to change.
Okay, but I want to add maybe one more thing.
Yes.
One of the things that I was reading as I was reading about what's going on in Europe is the generational divide, meaning even though Spain is turning more to the right, Spanish young people are turning more to the left, meaning there's a polarization in all of these societies between the young and the old. So most of the people under the age of 30 are far on the left. Whatever right-wing conservative elements are people that are older. Now, and then I was watching one of the programs here on Israel, and I saw somebody, I think from France, young person was talking about the fact that most of the young people don't agree with the conservative or the right-wing kind of backlash. And she said something that kind of flipped my coin. She said, I have more in common with some young people in Spain or some young people in Amsterdam than I have with the older people in France where I live.
Oh, yeah.
Meaning what is happening is that there's this polarization that is happening, and not countries are not moving to the left or the right, but populations are actually age groups are moving left. Okay. The older groups are seeing what's happening with their experience, are moving to the right, and the younger groups are moving to the left. What I'm trying to say is this, and I've got a term for it. Okay. There's this coming together of this. In the past, they used to call it the international man. I'm a citizen of the world. I'm not a citizen of Italy. I'm not a citizen of India, of this. I'm a citizen of the world. Now you hear the same thing from the young people in the United States. You hear something. So there's this coming together of the younger generation that is actually gluing themselves together with something else than the values of the countries that they come from. It's a result of the internet, I think. And I've got a term for it, and you can start using it. I just now made it up. It's called the Tower of Google.
Yeah, that's there's some that's a good term. I like it.
We're building the Tower of Google right now.
Yeah.
And the different nationalities and the different languages are becoming less relevant, and they're trying to find one nationality and one language that can all speak together. And it's working because the younger people are speaking the same languages all over the world. The people in UCLA have more in common with people in the university in Manchester than they have with their parents.
Yes. No, listen to me. We are absolutely talking about the modern day Tower of Babel, which, by the way, is a good inlet for me to bring up the announcement that I was going to bring up. We got so involved in our conversation that I forgot to do it at the 30-minute mark, so I'm going to do it right now. And I want you guys to really, I hope you will be blessed by the change that we're making. So here it is. Are you ready? So right now we do 2 live broadcasts every single week. We do a Tuesday live broadcast and we do a Thursday live broadcast. Well, guess what, folks? I am going to stop one of the live broadcasts on YouTube. It is not going to be the Tuesday one. David is going to stay with me, and we're going to do a lot of work here on Tuesday because there's a lot of work to be done. But I am going to stop the Thursday live broadcast. Now, let me tell you what's happening, okay? Because this is really cool, okay? Instead of the Thursday live broadcast, and Golden Bear, Thursday's not live on tape. We just happen to do that a couple of times. Most of the time, it's live in person and not live on tape. But let me just simply say this. I love Golden Bear. Awesome. Okay. I'm telling you, we have the most amazing people that watch us. If you knew the character of some of these people, you would love them. Golden Bear is one of them. But okay, let me just say this. Instead of doing a live broadcast, what I'm going to be doing, and this is going to be once a week, I am going to be actually teaching a Bible study. Whoa. I am going to focus the Bible study on Bible prophecy. What I'm going to do with the Bible study is I'm going to look at a current event, and then I'm going to discuss the biblical precedent. I'm going to teach you through that passage. So, for example, this Thursday, which I'm really looking forward to, I am going to talk about the increase of anti-Semitism in the current day. The Bible actually told us this would happen. The Bible predicted it. Zechariah chapter 12 is perhaps the most foundational text for the fact that there will be an increase in anti-Semitism. So my study this Thursday, I've already filmed it, is going to be on Zechariah chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. And it will be an actual Bible study. We are going to get into Hebrew terms, Greek terms. We're going to get into a solid Bible teaching environment like I do when I teach on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday evening, but it will be focused only on Bible prophecy. Now, some of you might say, well, James, I'm really bummed about the fact that we're going to end, a live show. We're only going to do one live show a week. Well, stand by, because what we will do is we will do live shows that are only Q&As that will not be on YouTube. They will end up being on Locals and will eventually be on the app. And we will do one every now and again that doesn't require any support relationship. But for all of my supporters, we will have a regular Q&A live broadcast. By the way, when we move over to my app, which is really, really important, when we move over to the new James Kaddis app, there will be a level of support where my live broadcast won't even be a live broadcast. It will actually be, you ready for this? This is really cool. It will be a Zoom call. Whoa. And we're going to limit how many people can be on that Zoom call. We're going to limit it to 50 people because you will all be able to talk and interact with me, which I'm very, very much looking forward to. And we might even do a little bit more than that, but we are super excited about this. Really, really looking forward to it. And we're actually going to open up some opportunities for some like interaction within a group of 5 or within a group of 10, or in some cases, depending on the kind of time that we have, we'll even open up some opportunities for even a smaller group. So that's coming with the new app. But within Locals, we will do that. Now, let me tell you what that means. That means more work for me. But that's okay, because I need to be able to serve you in the best possible way. And one of the things I think I need to do to be able to serve you better is to teach you the Bible more. So Thursday will be a premiere, at least initially, but it will be a Bible study that we are teaching, or that I am teaching. And I'm very much looking forward to it. By the way, we've got some great Bible studies coming up. The other Bible study that we'll do the following week will be in Genesis chapter 11 as we get into the Tower of Babel, which I'm looking forward to, because it's funny how David said the Tower of Google. That's actually why you reminded me. And we've got lots of other really awesome Bible passages coming up. I'm going to teach you through parts of the book of Revelation. I'm going to teach you through parts of Ezekiel. I'm going to teach you through, we'll actually do a whole series through the book of Daniel, and we will talk about the commonalities that exist with the current day that we're in and what Daniel describes as this upcoming empire that we have not seen yet. So we're going to talk about the Babylonian Empire that's coming. We're going to talk about the Roman Empire. These are all Bible studies, and they are going to be right there. Now, for those of you that need information on Locals, I don't know, I think Abby is on. Abby will give you a link that you can go directly to. If you'd like to support us on Locals, you can do that, because we will start some Q&As on Locals here pretty soon. We'll actually give you a little warning. I'll actually post when the Q&A is going to be. They will be on off days, and I'm very much looking forward to that. They will be on a day that you might not anticipate, but you'll get an email that will be letting you know. If you want to be on the mailing list where you're informed about all of these things, go to jameskaddis.com, jump on our mailing list there. We'll give you all the information there. But we're very looking forward to it. And by the way, I just want you to understand, when the app comes, what's going to come as well, which is really cool, and this will be for a larger group of people. I think we'll limit it to about 150 to 200. We will have a live broadcast that airs after the Bible study is taught, that will be dedicated to answering Bible questions related to the study that I just taught. So we've got a lot of stuff that's coming up. I'm really looking forward to it. The Bible study will be released at the same time that the live show is normally released, so it'll be at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the average Bible study will last anywhere from 35 minutes to an hour and 20 minutes long. So
Whoa.
it's going to be an involved Bible study. You guys are going to absolutely love it. And I think you're going to be really encouraged because we're going over all the type of things that you would not. And I want you to understand this, folks. Although I'm going to do my best to keep it as simple as it is, right? And as much as I want to keep it as, very basic, I will teach it like I am teaching a Bible college class. So you're going to get a much deeper teaching than you would if it was even a Sunday morning, and we hope that it's going to be a lot more personal to you. So we're looking forward to it. You guys are going to really, really enjoy it, and that's the big change that's happening. And I'm really, really looking forward to all of that. The Q&As are going to be great. Looking forward to that. We're going to have Q&As for every person, right? We'll always have a live broadcast on Tuesday, which will be your main hub to come to. But then we'll also have live Q&As that will involve specific types of Q&As. One, like I said, will be available maybe once a month to the general population. Those are just people that are a part of our community. And the new app, by the way, will have a non-supporting option. So you'll just be able to download the app and grab things. Here's the other thing that's coming with the app that you're going to really love. And I've had to wait to tell you this until now, but you will be able to watch our videos ad-free, which is also really, really cool. So no more ads on all the videos that are produced. You'll get, for those of you that are supporting us on the app, you'll even get early access to the videos that I actually do, which means in some of those videos, you'll see them a week earlier than the time that I actually put them out, which is always a cool thing. In most cases, it'll be 3 to 5 days earlier, in some cases 1 or 2, but I am super, super excited. And for those of you that are not really savvy to this, like I don't know how to use locals or I don't know how to use Zoom, we'll also give you some tutorials and we'll be able to support you in that as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great. Our first Bible study is coming Thursday. So when you don't see a live show, you'll know you're going to get it. Zechariah chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. And it won't even be the title won't be related to what you think is a Bible study, but just know it is a Bible study. And I am thrilled about the opportunity to be able to do it. Very much looking forward to it. And it's going to be all Bible prophecy centered. And we will integrate modern events, current events, and we'll analyze it. I'll give you one more example of this. There's a lot of talk about the geography of Israel and what belongs to what or who belongs to who. We're going to spend a lot of time going over that. We'll go through the Kings. We'll go through the Chronicles. We'll go over the documentation that we see in the book of Joshua. We'll look at what surfaced in front of us with the journey in Exodus. And I will teach you guys Bible geography. That is all coming. I'm working on it already. I'm already preparing the studies. I'm already doing the work. It's going to be very extensive, and it's going to be something that is going to help you with your understanding of why everything is happening and what's actually happening. So it's all coming. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you'll be looking forward to it, that you can prepare for it. It's going to be a really great thing. And our first one is this Thursday. So we'll continue to do live shows once a week, 11 o'clock. Pacific Standard Time, 11 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. Very much looking forward to it. David is coming back this week from the States, Dean. Thank you for the question, which, by the way, and you're the first people that are going to find this out. People at our church don't even know this, but David is actually going to be speaking all 4 services this Sunday, correct? Is it this Sunday, David?
I'm not sure, because I don't think I'm going to be in time for this Sunday. I thought it was next Sunday.
Oh,
but let's leave that
we'll
up.
Have to talk. I thought you were coming in you're coming in. Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
I think we're landing Sunday at.
It's the following Sunday. Sorry about that. It's the following Sunday.
Let me double check with the person who runs my life.
No, that's right. You're right. It's the following Sunday. It's Sunday the 23rd, is my understanding.
So there's 2 people in my life that kind of run my life. One is Jesus and one is my wife.
Is your beautiful wife awake? Maybe she could confirm it for us, but it won't be this Sunday. It'll be next Sunday. That's right. I'm almost certain that's what it is. Yeah. So all 4 services, and we're going to do a lot of fun stuff. So there's a lot that we're doing. Really excited.
Hey,
so
the app. Tell me about the app. What's going to be on the app?
On the app, we're going to have a lot of new things available. So one of the things we're going to have available is, like I said, we're going to have commercial-free access to all of the videos. We will have very special videos that we don't release anywhere else that we'll release there. We're going to have the ability to do personal interaction in Zoom calls, and we are going to launch, this will be at near the end of the year, we're going to launch a Bible college type mobile experience. So you guys will be able to learn the Bible like you're going to Bible college. Remember, I served as the dean of Calvary Chapel Bible College for many years. So we will do that, and we will also begin to dedicate certain portions in that app to teaching you biblically, like the Bible's view on practical issues. So the Bible's view on how to create wealth for your family, how to grow your existing finances, how to prepare for the future. We're doing all of that. That is coming in the very near future. All of those, for lack of a better term, all of those classes will be starting near the end of the year. We're looking very, very forward to that. So there's a lot coming in the app. There's a lot coming in the app.
I need to listen to the lesson as what the Bible says about dealing with liars and stupid people.
Yeah. That's going to be like a 100 Bible study lesson. I don't know. That's a tough one, man. It's a tough one because they're all there. They're lying, and it's a lot of stupidity. You're right. So that's what's coming.
So give me a subject. Yes, question. What do you think about the fact that the United States of America wants to deal directly with Hamas about the American hostages?
Oh, speaking of stupid and liars. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, because I am going to make actually a video about this, the United States of America has taken the position that they want to unilaterally start dealing with Hamas in order to release their own hostages. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. It's actually satanic. Their reasoning is they do not believe that the Americans that are hostages right now are going to be safe because of the military philosophy that Israel is taking, the fact that the IDF continues to be aggressive with its military tactics is dangerous. This is what they're saying. Now, I want to make this very clear because this is like really, really important, okay? The United States, or the position of the Biden regime, has never been to be concerned over the health and the well-being of its hostages. There are hostages all over the world, and the United States of America is not engaging in any unilateral conversations with hostage takers. But they are doing it in Israel because their intent has nothing to do with wanting to get the hostages back. Their intent is to block the efforts that Israel is making to bring everybody back in, but even more so, and this is the more incredibly important aspect of this, the full intent of what is going on right now in the United States of America is to create regime change. That's what they call it, right? They want to remove Netanyahu out of office. By the way, we know this to be a fact because when Abdollahian died with Raisi, we found out that there were secret talks that were going on concerning this very issue, and that the United States of America was actively talking with the head of terrorism, the head of the IRGC, actively talking about ways to, in essence, create regime change within the Netanyahu government.
Oh, no. They've said it very clearly today. Today they said very clearly, that they don't believe that Gantz should leave the coalition government. And if he does, they don't want to see Ben-Gvir and Smotrich in the coalition. And basically, the United States of America says we have to have a say in the political maneuvering inside Israel. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I've got a problem. I got my own problems with Benjamin Netanyahu. But the last thing I need is for an incompetent American president to deal with what's going on in Israel. I mean, I'm going to leave him to deal with what's going on in the United States of America. And if you want to deal with something, deal with your border. Deal with your political system.
Yeah. Well,
deal
listen,
with your son. Thank you very much.
This is going to be one. He's abandoning his son. But let me just simply say this: this is going to be another Bible study that I'm going to do on Thursday. And this one, I haven't started it yet, but because it's going to be like 3 studies down the line, 3 weeks down the line. But it's going to deal with the fact that when you abandon righteousness, then you welcome evil into your country. And we're going to go over this Bible study. It's based in Proverbs, but this is really interesting. He's an ungodly, unrighteous, wicked, evil man who hates God. And so because of that, and the people around him hate God, they're going to do these things. They don't care about freedom. They don't give a rip about freedom. That's why they're destroying our country. And that's what we should be expecting. It's completely dark and it's completely evil.
What happens if he dies?
Then it's going to get even worse, because then if he dies, then Kamala Harris is going to become the president. And if she becomes the president, well, I mean, I don't even know what to think. She might be, in my opinion, the literally dumbest person who has ever sat in the VP office ever. I don't even know. Well, I kind of have an idea how she graduated from law school. I have no idea. She was the worst attorney general that the state of California ever had. And she gained the notoriety that she gained, and she gained the political position that she gained by selling her body. So she's an evil, dark woman. She's a completely evil. And I'm not talking about her skin color. I'm talking about her heart.
You got to be careful what you say about the vice president of the United States. I mean, I'm not surprised that do want to monetize you.
It's true. It's true. Look, here's my thing about the whole demonetization thing. I get it. But the problem is I'm not going to make money off the death of the future. So I hate to say this, but I would rather be demonetized and tell people the truth than not be and make a bunch of money. And I think that God will bless my position in that, because she's an evil, she's a devil. And by the way, she's not just a devil, but I'm going to just tell you this right now. She is the only person in the White House that might be more, shall we just use the term more stupid than her, that lacks more intelligence than her, is the press secretary. That might be the only other person that is literally dumber than Jean-Pierre. She is the only reason why she was put there in that position as the press secretary is because she's black and she's a lesbian. That's the only reason why she was put in that office. I didn't know that. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I do want to step off this cliff. Okay, and let's see if I can. One of the defining factors, or one of the things that tie together all these events that we're talking about, the political situation, the border situation, the gender situation, the Israel situation, is control of the media. Control of the media and how the media feeds the demons that they want to feed. Okay? And one of the ways that they do that, and I just heard Jordan Peterson complaining about the same thing. I just heard Dave Rubin complaining about the same thing. They're all complaining that the media is being controlled, and they are, Ben Shapiro, by the way, saying the same thing. They are controlling the, the public opinion by deciding or demonetizing people that they don't agree with.
Oh, yeah.
How do we fight?
Look, I'll tell you how this gets fought, okay, just so you understand. The way that this gets fought is you do what we're doing, and you start building an infrastructure that can't be affected by that. You build an infrastructure that can't be changed by that. That's why we're doing the app. That's why we have jameskaddis.com. That's why we're growing that area of things. Because here's the question. Look, if you ever want to give anybody really good business advice, okay, Christian business advice, it's this. Find a way to love the people and use the money instead of loving the money and using the people. So the rule here, if you want to be good at what you do in business, is identify the need that people have and meet that need. Serve them, right? So my goal in doing what we do is to serve people. That's what it is. Some people come to me and go, well, James, you charge for this and you charge for that. Yeah, and I have no problem charging for this and charging for that, because my priority is not only to feed my family, my priority is to support the infrastructure necessary to keep these things going. So when people are serious about the level of support that they bring in, they're going to get a lot more attention. And on top of that, not because they're supporting me, but because they're helping to create the infrastructure necessary to be able to better serve them. So the good news is I will be able to serve people a lot more as we do these things, even than I'm doing it now. And by God's grace, I'm doing a lot now. So I'm looking forward to it. It's all about serving them.
Charlie Kirk, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubens are names that kind of walk in my realm. Tom Hughes, by the way, also are creating parallel media channels that actually circumvent the control that the big media giants have over what's coming in and what's going out.
Yeah, that's right. Yep,
which is why what you're doing is part of this war too. The fact that you are creating this new channel is going to be a way to fight the control that is actually permeating. And here's the thing. I'm not sure we haven't lost the battle, James. I mean, looking at the fact that all of the young people, including young people that I know, have actually bought in to what the media has been feeding them without discernment and without really deep understanding, means that I think to a certain extent, from a mass media point of view, we've lost the battle.
Yeah, but that's not true. And we've had this conversation before, and I'm telling you that right there is what they want you to think. That's exactly what they want you to believe. But the reality of it is the extent and the reach that we have is growing. It's not getting smaller. It's actually getting bigger. And we've gone through these exercises before. I can give you a great example of this. When you look at the last 28 days of just YouTube alone. We're not talking about Rumble. We're not talking about social media. We're only just talking about YouTube alone. If you look at the last 28 days of YouTube alone on my YouTube channel, people have watched. Are you ready for this? This is gonna blow your mind. People have watched, no joke, people have watched 36 years.
Woo!
36 years of material. 36 years. So think about this for a second. If I take all the Bible studies that I've done and the time that I took to actually study for those Bible studies, we could be talking about hundreds of hours a month. But the extent that we've had is I have, just through my YouTube videos alone, we're not even talking about my Bible studies, we're just talking about my YouTube videos alone, we have been ministering to people 36 years worth of listening. When we get to last year, simply just last year, the numbers on YouTube alone, 600 years people listened to all of the stuff that we're doing. So we're not losing that battle. Okay. The reality of it is we're being faithful. And even if we were losing it in the sense that we're losing ground and it's getting worse and it's getting worse, we know that the battle is eventually going to be won. So it's all about being on the right side of history. So this is really, really important.
James,
by the way, I have to read this funny comment to you. Waiting on the Lord. He says, God bless you, Pastor James and Brother David. Biden is not only incompetent, he's incontinent. Did you hear that story, by the way, with France?
He's incontinent?
Incontinent, meaning he can't, he poops on himself all the time.
Oh, okay. Well,
but lots of people, by the way, are doing this, David, what you're talking about. For example, another great example of how this is happening is there are people like Eric Stakelbeck, who's building out even his own network through what's going on at TBN. Another really good example, perhaps the most significant example of this, where some of the largest changes taking place, is what Jack Hibbs is doing. His network is probably, if it keeps growing at the rate that it's growing, will probably be the biggest network in Christian television. If it keeps doing what it's doing over the next 5 years, it will be number one. So it's growing. And there's a lot of people who are just, they're doing this because of this very reason. And it will get to the point where some of the bigger media outlets are going to recognize the errors of them silencing everybody. And by the time their business model begins to falter, they'll make a change. Hopefully, I know this. Go ahead.
So here's a big question, because okay, I can see this replacing people's media source of media, source of information. Okay, what happens when channels start replacing people's churches?
Well, that's a problem. It's already happening,
Yeah.
and it's a big problem. And again, there's a massive responsibility that we have as broadcasters and we have as people that are doing what we're doing to let people know that they have an obligation to do what the Bible tells them to do. And what the Bible tells them to do is to stay in fellowship, to be a part of a church. You are not doing what God is asking you to do if you are not part of a church fellowship. And yes, you need to find one. And that's difficult. I get it. In the time in which we live, there's not a lot of guys that are speaking the truth. But it's really important to find fellowship with other believers and to seek the Lord. You know, it's a really critical part of everything that we do.
So what's coming up on the political arena on your side?
Okay, so I've got some concerns about what's happening right now. Let me just tell you in the immediate, my biggest concern with what I'm seeing on the political arena in the United States of America is there is a concerted effort to persecute political opponents. We're seeing it more and more with what happened with President Trump. That's just the tip of the iceberg, or the tip of the spear. It's happening. We're watching this happen. They just arrested Steve Bannon. They're going to make him turn himself in July. And there are many other people that are being arrested. There's a person that we know who is the head of security at a specific church. I'm not even going to bring up the details about that. But he happened to be there on January 6th. He didn't go into the Capitol. He didn't participate in anything that would have ever been considered to be illegal or anything like that. And he's now a political prisoner. He's in a federal prison, remanded immediately, and there's nothing that he can do about it. It's absolutely terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So I'm very concerned about that. I'm very concerned about the political prisoners that this regime is beginning to take and all the other nonsense that's beginning to happen. But we're seeing it's getting worse and worse and worse.
So again, this is now lawcraft. There's newscraft, and now there's lawcraft. Okay, and again, this is a continuation of the whole thing about the criminal court that is actually pursuing arrest warrants for Benjamin Netanyahu and Benny Gantz, not Benny Gantz, and the Israeli Secretary of Defense.
Can I just say this about Benny Gantz? What a traitor.
Well, you know that if there's elections tomorrow, he's going to win.
Yeah, he's a traitor. I'm sorry. Do you actually think Benny Gantz would win? Do you think a government would form around him?
Well, the polls say that he's going to come out with a majority. And I think, yes. I mean, there is a lot of this. There's a lot of, how do you say, bile kind of rising up about Benjamin Netanyahu and about the whole interaction with Ben Gvir and Smotrich.
But David, here's the problem with Gantz. Gantz needs the support of the right wing, and he's never going to get it. He can't form a government without the support of the right wing.
I tell you what might happen. And again, this is you guys a bit. If you kind of go into Israeli politics a little bit deep, again, we're going back to the religious and the fact that the religious are the kingmakers.
That's what I'm saying.
And if the religious decide to support Gantz, then and the only way
they won't, David. He said too much against them. He's spoken way too much against them, especially the Temple Mount stuff. No way.
No, not the Temple Mount stuff. I'll tell you what the religious that I'm talking about, or the Orthodox, the only thing that's important to them is making sure that their guys don't go to the army. And if Gantz steps out of that, I don't know if you know, but the Israeli Supreme Court has decided that it is unconstitutional that some of the people go to the army and some don't. And there's a whole...
that I did not hear of. That's kind of a shocker. When did that ruling come out?
Well, the what do you call it? The legal advisor to the government. What do you call it? The comptroller or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. She actually is forcing the government to reach or to give an explanation why they haven't called up eligible young Orthodox men. And especially now that the army needs them because of what happened on the war. Now, Gantz has been kind of towing a very iffy line on that one. And if he comes out with support for them, if he promises them, okay, we'll stay off this subject, he might pull them in, and that'll be enough to give them a government.
Yeah, but the problem with that is Gantz will lose the main group of people that have been supporting him right now in making the run if he actually does that. That's the problem. That's where.
Okay, but I'll give you, again, this is Israeli politics. The people that you think he will lose support from if he does that are the same people who are going to have to say, what's more important to us, getting Bibi out? Because these are the same people that are against Benjamin Netanyahu.
Listen, I agree with that. But you have another wrench in the spokes, and here's the bigger wrench in the spokes, right? The Likud. That's the other wrench in the spokes. I can promise you that they will elect Israel Katz. If they're so bent on getting rid of Bibi, they'll elect Israel Katz before they allow Gantz to form a government. I could be wrong about this, but I'm almost certain that would be the case.
It's going to be another government like the Bennett government. Okay, it would be something like that. But James, I do have to kind of cut this short because I'm about to crash on you.
Okay. Oh man, it was just beginning to be a good talk here. We were just beginning to get into the fun stuff.
Well, you know that next week on Tuesday I'm going to be there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to be by my side. We're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, David, any final thoughts or anything like that, brother, before we wrap it up?
The North is really on the edge.
Yeah, we didn't even get into that. Can you give everybody a small update on that before we wrap it up?
We've been talking about the Hezbollah issue on the edge, and Hezbollah is Iran's other proxy, and they've been keeping the fire up. And I'm going to say it like this. I know from inside sources. Well, no, it's not really weird. It's not inside sources. It's from my nephew, who's up in the north getting tanks ready on the northern border.
Yeah.
Ugh. And it's coming up there. There is a hustle and a wiggle on the American side to push Lebanon and Israel and Hezbollah. And it's interesting that they kind of treat the three as separate entities to push the three into an agreement that will ward off a full-scale war with Hezbollah in the north. Israel's about to push the button. We can't take this anymore. I mean, they've pushed us to the edge. And the question is, if it does happen, then will Iran get in? Or is there any way to create an agreement that'll push? I mean, Israel will probably buy into an appeasement agreement, at least in the time being, that would push the Hezbollah across the Litani River and give us a buffer zone on northern Lebanon. So that's what's going on right now. There's a lot of movement by the United States underground to push the Hezbollah into agreement, to push the Hamas into agreement, and to push Israel into agreement.
There's so many things that could go wrong on this one. There are so many things in play, especially with the government. That's the biggest concern that I have right now. Well, what is the general position, just out of curiosity, what is the general flavor that you're getting out of the Likud concerning Netanyahu right now? Are they still very fiercely or staunchly behind him, or is there becoming more and more of a divide from within?
There's becoming more and more divided. The more polls that come out that say that he is not considered number one prime minister, and he is not the biggest political party, the more that comes out, the more it's going to break. He lost a lot of credit with, Ben-Gvir and Smotrich are damaging his
of course
standing in the overall public. And there's a big balagan with Miri Regev, who was one of his outspoken supporters. It turns out that he's got a couple of very, very corrupt inner people that have been damaging the Likud and the Likud's reputation.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
The Ministry of Transportation is being brought up on charges, of the more banana republic kind. I mean, only the people who supported me in the Likud elections will I support their municipality when it comes to budgeting transportation issues. That kind of stuff. And she's done a lot of damage. She was very outspoken for Bibi, and now as the situation is getting worse, she's doing damage to Bibi. And again, if this continues, then we're going to see a new prime minister win.
And this could have some substantial effects because of her influence with some of the judges, the judging contingents, which is that should be very interesting, because I didn't even know she was in play here. I had no clue. That's interesting.
Well, there's a whole, how do you say, corruption issue coming up, and it's kind of indicative of how things are being run in her municipality, in her ministry, and that's becoming a serious. So Bibi's been under a lot of pressure from a lot of different directions now. And here's the thing. All the years, the last couple of years, everything about Benjamin Netanyahu is about Iran and the nuclear program. It turns out that Iran has actually sucker punched us by putting the nuclear program up here on the left hand and then sucker punching us from underneath with the right hand.
100%. But that was through the help of the United States of America. I believe that Iran was counseled by America to do it this way.
Oh, yeah,
I believe there was a very specific strategy that's been deployed that is American made. I'm certain of it, because America's in the business of regime change. That's what America does.
Well, John Kerry was a very important player in all of this. I think his son-in-law is Iranian, if I remember correctly.
Oh, no kidding.
Check that out.
I'd have to look. I didn't realize there was a connection there.
Yeah. He's always been very Habibi. Next year, next week in LA.
Okay, let me pray for you, brother. Father in heaven, we just thank you so much, Lord, for David. And we thank you, Lord, for all that's happening, Lord, in his life and in his family's life. We thank you, Lord, for the fact that these hostages are home. We pray that you would bring home many more safely. We love you, Father, and we thank you for all that you're doing. We pray, God, that you would continue to keep us looking to you and seeking you and just drawing close to you. So, Lord, we love you and thank you. We look to you, and we ask these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. David, stick around. Folks, we just love you. I will run something by you real quick. We love you, folks. Keep fighting the good fight. And remember, we've got great things coming up. First Bible study is this Thursday, and that is 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we've got lots of really wonderful things coming up after that. Okay, we love you guys. Keep fighting the good fight.